Hey guys, hope you guys are doing well. This is James from Divine Crochet. Welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to share with you this pattern for this two-toned scarf. This pattern creates a super warm and cozy scarf that consists of two colour palettes. Obviously you could pick just two different yarn colours, but for me I'm going to do one side as a scrap yarn project and do one as a block colour. The scarf has a knit-like finish and is lovely and warm, so it's perfect now the weather's getting a little bit cooler. For materials for this scarf, you just need two colours that you're going to work with and a 4mm hook. And obviously you'll want a pair of scissors as well. Now we have all of our materials ready, we're ready to start our scarf. So for this scarf, our first step is going to be to start off with a slip knot and then start a chain length. As there is no stitch multiple, you don't have to worry about how many you're chaining, but bear in mind the length that you're chaining here is going to represent the length of the scarf and not the width of the scarf. And then once you've reached the end of your chain row, you're going to go ahead and cut your yarn. And then to finish off the scarf, what we'll be doing is we will yarn over and then pull that end through, and that's your first row done. For this scarf, I chained a total of 260, and obviously you're more than welcome to use that number. But for a scarf like this, where there is no stitch multiple, it really doesn't matter how many chains you do at the start. You just want to chain the length of how long you want the scarf to be in total. So what I would do is chain a length and kind of drape it over your neck and see how it's fitting, and once you're happy with how long your scarf is, you can just go ahead and do our next step. Obviously chaining and counting to 160 can be long, so that's just to save you guys hassle, but obviously you could just chain 260, that's also not a problem. But for me, I don't know, I just hate counting up to that point because I always feel like I lost my number, so I counted in this case, but for a scarf like this normally I actually wouldn't. So you want to start your next row using the opposite colour palette to the one that you used for your chain row, and then insert your hook into the back bump of the last stitch that you did before you then get your slip knot and pull that through. Normally at this point I would do a chain to start off my work, but I forgot to this time. I don't know why, but basically normally you would chain one and then do a half double crochet into the same stitch that you started with, and then basically the rest of the pattern is just going to be doing one half double crochet into each stitch. So I would be doing a total of 260 half double crochets, working my way all the way to the end of my row. And you want to make sure that you're doing one stitch into each chain. Once you've done your final half double crochet of your row, you want to leave 2 or 3 inches in your end, cut it, and then we're going to yarn over and pull that through, and that's going to be this first row of half double crochets done. We're then going to flip around our work, so we're continuing from where our last stitch was, and our next row is going to be in our opposite colorway. So if we look at the top, we can see that there's a front and back loop. I'm showing you the back loop here. What we're going to be doing is working only into this back loop from now on. So I'm going to insert my hook and pull through the slip knot and chain one, and then do my first half double crochet into the stitch that I just pulled that stitch through and chained one in. So all of that was in one stitch. And now for my next half double crochet, I can move on to the next stitch. I should also mention here, that's how we're meant to be starting our rows. So we start by that chain one before we start doing our half double crochet. And this is going to be what we do for each one of our rows from now on up until that last row. So all of our stitches should be going into the back loop only, and we should be working in those 260 half double crochets
or however many chains you started off with.
Now I'm going to repeat that row of doing my half double crochets in the back loop only, making sure I switch up my colour story each time I change directions. I've done a total of 2 of those rows of the half double crochets in the back loop only. I think I want to aim to do about 22 or 24 in total, but I'll go off and do that, and I'm going to come back once it's all finished to show you how I finish off the scarf. So I've been working on my scarf a little bit and I only worked up 18 rows, and not gonna lie, I'm actually pretty happy with the width, so I think I'm gonna call it a day there. Obviously when it comes to how many rows you add, you're gonna be customizing the width of your scarf, so you can add as many rows as you would like. I would just recommend for this pattern that you stick to an even number of those half double crochet rows. Now our next step is going to be to add a final row to the scarf, and then we're going to do a few finishing touches and then we will be done.
I'm showing you here, I'm finishing off my final row, and this is going to be in the brown yarn, and my final colour is going to be in purple. And normally what we do is we return our work, but I'm actually going to go right back to the start of my final row, and we're going to work in our row from this side. And what we're going to be doing is, if you can see, we have those V's at the top, and the way that it's facing, it's kind of technically a back loop, but the back loop is facing us, so it's kind of a front loop. We're going to go underneath and then through the top and pull through a slip stitch. It's kind of hard to see just because the colours are dark, but basically what I've done is any loop that's facing towards me, I'm going underneath it and bringing my hook up through before then creating a slip stitch. And what this should do is mirror the chain stitch that we did right at the start. I carry on this row just like any other row, and what I'm just going to do is tie together some of my ends just to make everything a little bit more secure. This is definitely not a mandatory thing for you to do, this is definitely optional, but for me this is just something that I like to do just so in my mind I know nothing's going to come loose. And then what I'm doing here is just trimming my ends. How meticulous you are with this step is completely up to you. For me, I just want things to look even to the eye, but I'm not too bothered about making things perfect.
Once you're happy with how all of your ends look, your scarf is done. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and interesting. I really like this pattern just because of how versatile it is. You could change up the colours to just having 2 block colours, or even you could do a scrap yarn project where you have, let's say, a bunch of cool colours on one side and a bunch of warm colours on the other. There's definitely a lot of room to kind of customise this piece to make it something that you would wear. If you did enjoy this video, I'll link all of my other social medias down below, as well as my Etsy store where I sell a bunch of patterns. Definitely go check them out. Apart from that, make sure you are subscribed and you like and comment. Let me know if there's anything in particular you guys want to see in the future. And most importantly, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.